Hello and welcome back to the Single Society. My name is Jo and this is the space where we're going to be reframing the conversation together about what it means to be single and what singles life looks like. This episode is the fourth in a series of 7 episodes about consent when it comes to singles nights. So what that means, how you proactively show up in the spaces, having thought through what works best for you. If you haven't listened to the first 3 yet, then by all means do go back and do so. There's lots of information there, and if you're not yet subscribed, please do that now. It means you're notified when new episodes come out so you can keep in the loop with the next ones in this series and of course beyond. And it also means we can build this community of single people so that we can find one another and have positive conversations about singles life. Now, I am going to forewarn you guys of the 7 episodes around consent. This middle one may in some ways be the most controversial, in that I am going to make a bit of a personal plea directly to you. Now, to give you some context, first of all, I am based in Manchester and set up a series of singles nights here. Those singles nights at the time of recording have now expanded to Preston and to York, but they will be coming at some more places soon. So if you just discovered this series of episodes, have a little look because there may well be singles nights in more spaces now. So they're growing and expanding all the time. And I run these singles nights in different age brackets. So you'll see that on each event, and it varies a little bit just depending on the event and where it is. But at most, it's kind of a 15-year age bracket. Often it's a little bit smaller than that. And I do that for the most obvious of reasons, which is that people tend to want to date sort of roughly in a certain age bracket around them. Now, of course, there are exceptions, and that is absolutely fine. Please don't get me wrong, in your private life, if you're out on a night out and meet somebody and they're in a totally different age bracket to you, fabulous. If that works for both of you, wonderful. That is great. Honestly, it is not about being judgmental about those kind of wider age brackets that you might see in couples. That's totally fine. But it is an honest reflection of the fact that for the majority of people, and trust me, I've done a lot of research into this, they do tend to want to date within certain boundaries. You yourself have probably experienced that. You're at similar stages of life, similar points in terms of what you might want to be exploring in a possible relationship. So the singles nights are run in age brackets, and there is a certain amount of trust for me when I put an event up when people buy tickets to that event. It's not really practical for me to ask to see copies of everyone's ID before they arrive. And if you are listening to this thinking that you might want to go to a singles night, you probably wouldn't want somebody to get in touch and say, "Can I see 2 forms of ID, please?" So that's not really a practical possibility, which means that there's a degree of trust involved. Now, what's really significant about this is that when people come to a singles night, they are consenting to what has been advertised. So, how the night is going to run, which of course I am then responsible for delivering on and setting the context for the event, making it a safe space. Those things I can have largely under my control. The thing that I have less control over is people being completely honest about how old they are when they buy a ticket. Now, it does say, and this again, this is not just for me, this is for any singles night that you might go to, whether they're run by me or not. If it has an age bracket, please respect it. It's so important. It's important for you yourself, your own kind of self-respect, self-worth, but also, as I say, linking it with this theme of consent that runs through this 7-part series. Other people have consented to be in a particular space, and if you buy a ticket for an event that is not the right one for you, you are violating that consent, and that is not okay. And I know it's a strong way of wording it, but it is really important. Now, what I will slightly qualify this with is in the event descriptions for my own, and I'm sure for other events as well, they'll have a similar provision. But I will put, if you've come slightly outside of this age bracket, but you still feel like it's the right one for you, get in touch and let me know. Now, my email is in all the event descriptions. It's an my.singles.society@gmail.com. So you can email my.singles.society@gmail.com and you can get in touch to say, I'm X age, the event is for Y, would this be okay? Now, this happens regularly, I should say. Like, I would say, if not every day, certainly at least 3 or 4 times a week, I will get an email from somebody asking, is this all right? Does this feel okay? So please don't worry about doing that. Like, I'm very used to getting that kind of email from people. It's why I put it in the event description. I do expect it. And generally when people ask, it is because within a couple of years, like roughly speaking, obviously every event is different, but within a couple of years normally it will be okay. And I also do understand if you've got a particular reason for it. And also, I don't want the kind of intenseness of like consent is important. It is, for me to put off those of you that do have really good intentions and it's really close. So sometimes, for example, I've had people email me and say it's a 26 to 38 singles night. So go from 26 years old to 38 years old. Sometimes I will have somebody email me who is 25 but turning 26 like the week after the event, and they'll be like, is that okay? I'm not technically 26 yet. Of course, yes, of course, that is completely fine. If it's really close like that, to be honest, I would say just go for it. If you want to email me and check first, that's absolutely fine. I really appreciate you doing that. I do really value it. But if it's super close, honestly, crack on. Go ahead. It's not an issue at all. But if it is within a couple of years, let me know, because also the other thing that's helpful about me having those emails is I will then know if other people have got in touch at that event. So say, for example, a few people who are 25 have asked to come, and then someone who's 24 also asks, I'm more inclined to say yes to the 24-year-old if I know I've already got 25-year-olds in the room, because I'm like, okay, well that makes sense. That's still going to kind of work. And we, as event hosts, then part of our job is to make sure that you're finding one another and that people are talking to who they want to talk to in the room. So as I say, this is the episode that is sort of a bit of a personal plea, really. Please do respect the age brackets on my singles nights, on other people's singles nights. It makes it a much better event for everybody. And if you come to a singles night and you are very clearly not at the right one, you may well be asked for ID. And if you are way outside, you will be asked to leave and you will not be able to come to a singles night in the future. So it's something I take very seriously. And if you as a guest at an event think that this has happened, please do let me know. Seriousness over. I promise the other episodes in this series are going to be much more lighthearted, so do follow along for more.